Welcome back, everybody. I'm Ethan Bianchi, and I have a very special guest with me here today. She's the coach of the McClatchy cross country program. She's also works with our runners for the track and field program, and she's also a chemistry teacher here at McClatchy. Coach Julie Watkins, everybody. Welcome.
Hi guys.
All right. First off, how are you? How's your family and everybody during the pandemic?
I'm pretty lucky. We're all healthy, doing well. Other than feeling a little cooped up and wanting kind of to be able to plan stuff and get together and all that. We're all healthy though, so I feel fortunate in that. So
that's good to
all
hear.
Good.
Yeah, as long as you're all good.
I think, yeah.
So your runners have set a lot of personal records during the past couple years. How does this current group of athletes stack up for you against previous ones that you've coached?
So I would say the group of boys I have right now is probably the best group I've had since the 2017 crew that won sections was pretty awesome, obviously. The seniors I have this year on the boys side are probably the best I've had since then. So it's kind of disappointing that we're not going to have at least a regular cross-country season. I mean, I'm still kind of holding out and being optimistic that, we'll have the December season. And, the girls I have, this is the best group I've had, like, ever. They're fantastic. And just all the kids in general. I mean, if we're talking just like fast times wise, that's, the girls are really fantastic. But even just, the attitudes and everything, I think are really good. And I'm looking forward to getting back out there for sure.
I know that a lot of your students are very successful in the classroom as well. Is this something that you try to drive into them as a coach, or something that you...
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even our, we've had some amazing athletes come through, and even, it would be a very rare occurrence if any of them are going to go and become professional athletes. So obviously, being good students is really important as well. And so it's definitely something I encourage and support and want to see from the kids. Yeah, we have some really good students, and I just want, in the classroom, everybody should be the best student they can be. They don't all have to get straight A's, but, they need to be respectful and get their work done and, do the best they can. And it's just a general attitude that's reflected, I think, in whether you're out there working out, in sports or in life in general or in the classroom. It's that same attitude, of work hard, get it done. I think just helps all around them be good, successful people for sure.
And since you're a teacher on campus, do you try to check in with your runners, like see how they're doing throughout the school day, or just if you see them in the hallway or anything?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's kind of hard. Obviously, the ones I have in my class, I try and check in with and make sure they're at least getting the work they have for my class done. Yeah, as much as possible. It's fun to see them on campus, and I definitely try and check in with them from time to time at practice to check in, make sure they're getting their schoolwork done, and just recognize in our training schedule when they might have a lot of tests and quizzes and things that they need to prepare for, and being kind of a little bit flexible with that at times. But honestly, the best students never tell me they need to miss practice to study, almost never, so they're disciplined and, they've got it dialed in for sure. How
does chemistry and running kind of complement each other in your life? Like, what led you into both of them for expertise?
I mean, I always liked science and chemistry. And by the way, I'm also teaching physics this year, by the way. So I'm kind of excited about that. Teach physics as well as chemistry. And I mean, obviously there's a lot of chemistry involved with sports, and also a lot of physics involved with sports. There's, all the chemical reactions that have to happen to make you perform at your best. We talk a lot about something called VO2 max. I mean, there's some chemistry and biology in there. Talking about like eating and nutrition and, burning calories and how to, kind of maximize your performance based on, what you have in your body to help you run faster, stronger, longer, and that kind of stuff is, it's all related. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see that connection, but it's in, it's definitely there's connections between sports and science, obviously.
You use your chemistry teachings to also better understand your
Yeah, for sure. I
habit.
mean, one of the things that we know when we start talking about, molecular structures, I have a T-shirt the kids gave me one year that says, run to your lactic acid potential. So I wear that shirt and we talk about like lactic acid and the chemical structure of it and what it actually is and why your body produces it. And, we talk about how, why you can't run your fastest for very long, your top speed, like what's the chemical reactions going on in your body that are, producing, and it's not actually lactic acid, it's the buildup of hydrogen ions, but I won't go into detail, but there's definitely a lot of chemistry that goes into running that you don't necessarily need to know it to run fast, but sometimes it helps.
It's interesting, yeah. What are your thoughts? I know a lot of people during this quarantine period have started going out and running, biking, like exploring. What do you think about this rise in just normal people going out for a jog, going for a run?
I think it's great. I mean, I think it's kind of leveled off a bit, but I think I ran more in the first several months of the quarantine than I have in a really long time, just because you wanted to get out and do something and feel normal, and exercising felt good, and I would see tons of people. I mean, it was kind of hard to actually avoid people in the park and on the streets because there's just so many people out walking, but I think it's great. I see a lot of kids out like with their parents and families out and people being active. So I think that's one good thing. I wish we could have practice and get together as a team, but I know a lot of my kids are out running on their own for sure.
Do you have a favorite route that you like to run in Sacramento, or anywhere for that matter?
I really like the American River Trail. I like, there's some routes up in Folsom, like around Lake Natoma, up in Granite Bay. There's just a lot of the trail runs out that way that I really like. If I'm staying close to home around Land Park, there's the Levee, there's some Southland Park loops. Also, yeah, but I would say I like to get up a little ways up the mountains where there's some trails and a little bit of hills for sure.
Yeah. Do you think that this running is like helping to deal with some of the stress of quarantine and this kind of the new normal we're experiencing?
Definitely. I think it is. I think it definitely helps me. I've noticed if I go a few days and I don't run, I get really agitated and grumpy, and if I get out and get my runs in, I definitely feel a lot better just in general, and I think that probably helps other people too. It's hard though. It's it's hard to get out the door. I think that's the thing for a lot of people. It's like, and for me too, sometimes it's just hard to get yourself up out the door because everything just seems so blah, and stuff that you want to do you can't do, and sometimes that makes you kind of unmotivated to do anything. But I found pretty much every time that I've, said, what, I'm going to just go out and do it and go for a run, I'm always happy in the end that I did it. So that's what I try and convey to my runners a lot when, I'm telling them to get out and run on your own. It's hard to get out there sometimes. For some people are much more personally motivated and it's easy, but, I think that's kind of happens to a lot of people. You just get kind of depressed and you don't want to do anything. And that's kind of a snowball effect, because then you don't do anything and then you feel worse, and then you just keep sitting on the couch and watching, binge watching TV, which is not helpful at all.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just have to do that. I mean, it's hard for sure.
So just kind of getting over that first mental block that's telling you not to do it.
That mental block that says you just want to sit on your couch and do nothing because you're sad because you can't do some things that you really want to do.
So you've been mentioning that like you miss being around your team. What do you miss most about being around them heading into the fall semester?
Just the interactions, just watching, kind of the progression during the season of kids, especially the new kids going from, not really knowing what's going on, or not really, being very physically fit even sometimes, to just developing that team camaraderie, and kids coming to practice and maybe dragging a little at first, but then, finishing a workout where they did really well, and kind of feeling that runner's high and being motivated, and just feeling, the team camaraderie, I think, is not having that is really hard. And I definitely miss that. I definitely miss meets. I mean, right now we should be having, cross-country meets pretty much every Saturday, and that's definitely kind of hard not to have that in the fall. But yeah, I think I just miss most the team camaraderie, and just watching the kids be excited and get better and faster and build relationships. Is not having that is hard, for sure.
Going off of the camaraderie a little bit, I know that your team normally does kind of like a beach retreat thing during August, like a training camp almost. Can you talk about how this is like a bonding experience for your team and just kind of brings them together?
Yeah, it's always kind of the highlight of most, I asked the kids, the seniors this year, what was, your favorite thing? I had them fill out a little thing, and almost all of them said something about camp. And so, we go to Point Reyes for 4 days, and it's a lot of really hard running. There's, we do a lot of miles, and it's a lot of hills, and I think that kind of bonds them together. It's kind of like camaraderie in how difficult it is, partly. But then also we have to cook all our own meals and clean up after ourselves, and they have to share a bunkhouse. So just, having to kind of work together to make dinner, clean up. And then we do obviously some team bonding activities. We do some goal setting. We talk about nutrition. We play some games, and, we play some Frisbee on the beach, and do some hiking in addition to the running. And so just all that is play some cornhole, some spike ball, and just have a good time. And it's a bummer not to be able to do that this year, for sure.
Do you think this helps them mature as people as well? Like having to, go away from home, learn how to do these tasks, like kind of functioning as a unit instead of just...
Oh, definitely.
As kids.
Definitely. I mean, they learn how to cook a couple of meals at least, and how to, kind of be responsible for themselves and for each other. And I definitely think it helps them, grow up a little bit and mature. And, it's amazing. Like, I definitely see a huge difference between the seniors and the freshmen. I finally got smart last year at camp, and the first night I just had the seniors cook dinner because it's kind of a hectic night, and it was amazing. Like, I didn't literally have to do anything. They just knew exactly what to do. Then the next morning, the freshmen make breakfast, and it's like, oh yeah, we have to teach them all this stuff now. So it's definitely a learning experience as well.
So I know that a few of your runners currently are siblings of past runners or upperclassmen runners. What is it like for you coaching multiple generations and of some families for McClatchy?
It's definitely cool. I definitely like having siblings, because you kind of already know the family, and you already know the parents. So that's kind of nice. And the siblings I've had, though, a lot of them are very, very different. They're not. I mean, some of them, they obviously have some similarities, but when I kind of look at how different they actually are, it's kind of cool to see how, kids from the same family with the same parents, they just have really different personalities, different things that motivate them. So I have to be careful not to assume that they're going to be the same as their sibling necessarily. And that's a good thing, everybody should be their own person. So, but it's fun. Like last year I had 3 McNats, which was kind of fun all at the same time, but and I've only occasionally, I have, Derek a couple years ago graduated, and then I have Damon, and I still make the mistake, still call him Derek sometimes. I feel really bad about that, but
I've had a few teachers that have called him Derek in classes before. So.
Really? Yeah.
It happens.
It's like, I know he's not Derek, but it just comes out sometimes. And so, yeah.
Um, on kind of a larger scale, what made you choose McClatchy in the first place as a coach, as a teacher, just in general?
Yeah. So I taught at Cal Middle School for 10 years before I came to McClatchy. So it was kind of a natural progression. I had kind of been thinking about trying to move to high school for a while, and I really liked McClatchy. I really liked the science department there. And when I came to McClatchy, I didn't come to coach cross country at all. I mean, I came to teach physical science actually, and then things have just kind of evolved. I think my third year at McClatchy, they were looking for a cross country coach, and I just thought about it. And I had always kind of wanted to coach cross country. You know, I ran in college, and so I thought, you know, it was a really good experience for me in high school and college. So I kind of thought about it because I knew it was gonna be a lot of time, but I decided that it was something I'd be interested in, and I've definitely not regretted that decision. Like I've been really enjoying coaching. But yeah, that's kind of how I ended up at McClatchy, and then ended up coaching, and pretty happy it all worked out that way so far.
What can you say about kind of how running has progressed in recent years? Like, I know earlier this year, Eliud Kipchoge broke the 2-hour marathon,
Right.
and like just all these records keep getting pushed lower and lower. Like, is this exciting for you, seeing all these marks just being brought down over the years?
Yeah, it definitely is. You know, it's always exciting to see new records being broken. And Kipchoge, I mean, he's one of my heroes. I mean, that guy's amazing. And you know, I don't know how much people know about him, but not only is he this amazing athlete, but he's extremely humble. You know, with money he makes, he basically runs a camp for other you know, other elite runners from his country, and you know, he's right there alongside of them, you know, cleaning the toilets and cooking dinner, and you know, this camp that he, you know, basically pays for and runs on his own. So he's a very like simple, humble person, and so it was pretty exciting to watch him break that 2-hour mark. And same with other athletes. I mean, it's just fun to watch kids and adults break records. I don't know if you know, earlier this year, they ran, it was called the Quarantine Classico up in Folsom, and it was just like 7 guys that were able to race, high school kids, and there was a high school kid that ran a 3:59 mile.
Wow.
Yeah, there's only like 11 kids in the US ever that have run that fast.
Really impressive.
Yeah, that was pretty inspiring. So, you know, it's kind of shows, even with the quarantine going on, you know, people are still racing. It's a little bit more difficult, and it's kind of mostly elite. But people are still running, people are still getting out there and training, and it's definitely one thing about our sport versus, you know, contact sports is you can still go out and do it, which is
all you
need. Not quite the same, but you can still run. So yeah, I mean, I think times will keep coming down, and you know, I don't necessarily stay up on every record that's been broken, but I know recently there was, you know, some other races out west that other records have been broken as well. Yeah, it's exciting.
All right, final question. I've been asking everybody this so far. Do you have any new habits or hobbies or anything that you've picked up during the quarantine?
Sure. I mean, I don't know if I have any. I like I said, I've started running again quite a bit more than I had been. So it's not really a new hobby, but it's kind of a rediscovered one. Done quite a bit of work on the house and work on the yard, and kind of just, you know, little projects. But I haven't like learned how to play the guitar, or, you know, I've been practicing techniques for distance learning. So I've been learning a lot of apps and a lot of ways to try and make it engaging, which I guess that's not really a hobby, that's my profession, but
yeah,
you know, it's definitely something that I've been working on this summer, for sure.
Going off of that, like, what are your thoughts on distance learning heading into the school year here?
I think it's going to be way different than it was in the spring already. You know, I think it's going to be much more organized, and I think we're much more prepared for it. It's not my first choice. It's not most teachers' first choices. I mean, we didn't, go into teaching to be on a computer all day, but I think we're trying to do the best we can to make it as, interactive and engaging as possible. But I do think that, there should be more efforts put into bringing back clubs and sports and activities that involve smaller groups of students and can be done outside with social distancing, just to bring back the kind of interactive part of high school, even if we're not going to bring back full on in-classroom learning. So I think, I don't know if a lot of people kind of look at it that way. I think there's this kind of vision of, we go back to school and then we'll bring all these other activities back, but it just seems like you can bring back those activities a lot sooner because they're smaller and more contained groups, as opposed to having 2,500 kids on campus all at once. Yeah. So yeah, I wish I saw a little bit more of flexibility with that, like possibly letting some groups meet on campus with some strict guidelines of how to conduct a, like a club meeting or a practice or something like that. So anyway, that's my thought, but we're going to make it work, whatever we have to do for distance learning for sure. But yeah, I definitely prefer distance running to distance learning. So that's my thought for this.
All right, I think it's time for your quote, your words of wisdom. What do you have for us?
So, I don't know who exactly to attribute this to, but it's one that's kind of been running through my mind a lot. And that's, if you don't enjoy the journey, you're probably not going to enjoy the destination. So, I'm all about setting goals, and I think goals are really important. But especially with all this happening, that's something that I've really thought about is how, we have these goals, but you have to enjoy the process of working towards them. So, whether it's in cross country, usually, we have goals of, making it to state or running a certain time. And, you work really hard to get there, which, that's good. And it might seem counterintuitive because I like going for the goals, but to just really enjoy the process is just as important, if not more important, because if you're not enjoying that journey of how you get there and, making those friendships and, enjoying those long, hard runs, then in the end, you're probably not going to enjoy where you end up. So enjoy the journey. That's my words of wisdom.
I like that. That's a good quote. All right. Thank you so much for Coach Watkins for coming on, talking about running, her team, records, life, quarantine, teaching, chemistry, all that. Thank you again so much for coming on. I had a great time. I hope you did as well.
Well, it's good to get to know you, Ethan. I've heard a little bit about you, but I've never actually had a conversation.
Yeah, so. I know. This is our first time talking.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, good luck with your project. And if you need anything else, just let me know. Sure. And hopefully we'll be back at school at some point. For sure.
Hopefully. Second semester. So, yeah, hopefully. Thank you again so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And come back next week.